While we were in China, we took 3 trips to places outside of Beijing. The first trip we took was Yunnan, which is down there, the arrow. We visited 2 towns called Dali and Lijiang. They were really old towns, so we got to see a lot of the older parts of the city. The top left corner and the bottom right corner, you can see these old city walls. We also walked down a lot of streets that were more traditional, unlike the busy high-rises of Xi'an. There were a lot of people selling traditional crafts and things. And Yunnan is famous for its silver, so we saw a lot of people like that making silver bracelets and things in front of shops, sitting on the street there. And a lot of those, whoops, can you go back? A lot of the buildings and walls had traditional paintings on them. Like there you can see a lot of those murals that were on many of the walls. Near Lijiang was a mountain called the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain. It was sacred to the Naxi minority people who lived there. So we took a bus up to the top, and there we got to see the Lijiang Impressions show. Because a lot of the minority people of Yunnan showing their traditional dances. And the mountain is just really impressive to look at. There's a few pictures of it. We also went to a place called the Stone Forest near Kunming, which is the capital of Yunnan. It was just this really big park with huge rocks sticking up, and you can see where it got its name from. It looked exactly like a forest made entirely of stone. Later in May, we also took a trip to Guilin, which is down there in Guangxi province. We went to 2 main cities, Guilin and Yangshuo. There's a picture of the city up there. While we were there, we went bike riding a lot. We went bike riding through the countryside. We got to see a lot of farms and mountains, and we drove through some villages. We also got a chance to go on a raft, on a boat, on a river, sorry. Just 2 people, and it was pushed by hand with a pole all the way down the river, and that was a really cool experience. We also went to see a really big cave. It took us an hour and a half to walk through the whole thing. It was that big, and it was full of stalactites and stalagmites, and they even put on a light show for us, with the colorful lights up there, smoke machines, bubbles. Our last stop before we went back to Xi'an was a village called Longqing, and it was a really old village, just sat on top of a mountain, and it was so high up the whole thing was covered in mist and fog almost the entire time. But what was really cool about it is that all the mountains there were terraced with rice paddies from the bottom up to the very top, and it took them over 700 years to carve all those terraces into the mountain. And people still farm rice there today. We saw a lot of people working in the fields there. And when we were there, we also got to see a show of traditional dance, but this time some of us actually got to participate. And in that picture is Maya and Victor doing some sort of sword dance on stage with the performers. Right before we left to China, we went to Beijing. Over there, capital of China. We got to see Tiananmen Square, just huge square right in the middle of Beijing. And it's really famous, really old, has a lot of history there. And we got to see the huge portrait of Chairman Mao that still hangs there. And down the left corner is a monument for the heroes of China. We went and climbed the Great Wall of China. We climbed up to the top of the mountain, and then there was the Great Wall. We spent about 3 hours on it. And where we were, the wall was made entirely of steps, as you can see over there. It was mountainous, just went up and down. And those steps were really narrow and really hard to climb. But it was definitely worth it. Every once in a while, there were those little guard towers. You can go inside, and there's old rooms there. We just saw a lot of interesting places around Beijing. We went and saw the Forbidden City, which is the traditional home of the emperor, as well as the emperor's summer palace down left corner. And we saw the Olympic stadiums, that's us in front of the bird's nest, and down over there is the water cube. And so while we were on our trips, especially in Yunnan and Guilin, most people there had never seen anyone who wasn't Chinese, so of course we were this big attraction. People came up to us and crowded around us, trying to practice their English, but hello, hello. And a lot of people wanted to take photographs of us, so they came up and asked if we could pose for them, and that was okay. But then there were these people who thought they were being really sneaky and everything, tried to take pictures of us and they'd think we weren't looking. It was just pretty funny.
Okay,